What if a dog refused to die? Not from aggression, not from fear, but because he had a job that wasn't finished? This is the story of Ranger, a Belgian Malinois, a combat-knuf, a veteran of 2 overseas tours who survived everything war could throw at him, only to be handed a death sentence inside an American hospital at 3 in the morning. His handler was unconscious in the ICU. His vest held evidence that powerful men needed to disappear before sunrise. And the only person who believed him was a quiet ER nurse on the night shift, a woman with a past she had spent years trying to forget. His execution was scheduled for 9 a.m. This is what happened in the 6 hours before that. Stay with me. At 3:07 the morning, Nurse Hannah Cole opened the door to Isolation Room 3 and saw the death order clipped to the glass. EUTHANASIA udixen nolla am. The letters were black, clean, and final. Below them, on a hospital blanket under the blue emergency light, a Belgian Malinois lay with his tactical vest still strapped around his ribs. His coat was tan and dark at the muzzle. His ears were up, but his body stayed low. One front paw rested over the left side of the vest, pressing down like he was holding something in place. The tag on his collar read, Ranger. Someone had written dangerous do not approach in red marker beneath his name. Hannah stood still. She did not reach for him. She did not speak too fast. She did not stare him down like the security guards had done outside the door. She only let the room settle around her. The air smelled of disinfectant, vetfua, and old fear. Ranger watched her with amber eyes. Not wild eyes. Not empty eyes. Working eyes. Hannah had seen that look before. Years ago. In places where dogs and men learned to survive by reading every breath in a room. Ranger was not waiting to attack. He was measuring her. You're not the problem. Are you? Hannah whispered. Ranger's ears shifted.
Okay.
Behind her, the hallway speaker clicked, then went silent. A floor buffer hummed somewhere far away. The hospital was in that dead hour before dawn, when every sound felt too loud. Hannah looked at the order again. 9:00 m. Then she looked at the wall clock. 3:002 a.m. Less than 6 hours. She crouched slowly, keeping her shoulder turned and her hands visible. Ranger's lips pulled back for half a second. Not a full snarl. A warning. A boundary. I see it, she said softly. I'm not taking it. His paw pressed harder against the vest. That was when Hannah noticed the blood. There was a dark stain along the vest seam, just under Ranger's paw. It was dry at the edge and tacky near the center, but Ranger's visible wound was on his right shoulder. This blood was on the left side of the vest. It did not match. Hannah leaned a little closer, then stopped when Ranger's chest tightened. Okay, she whispered. Your rules. Ranger blinked once. The door opened behind her. Hannah. The voice was sharp enough to cut through the room. Doctor. Adrian Mercer stood in the doorway in a white coat that looked too clean for a night like this. His silver hair was combed back. His badge hung straight. His face had the calm, polished look of a man who had already made his decision and expected the world to obey it. 2 security guards stood behind him. Step away from the animal. Mercer said. Hannah did not turn right away. She kept her eyes on Ranger. Because sudden movements around a frightened working dog were never smart. He has a name, she said. Mercer's mouth tightened. That animal injured 2 staff members. Ranger's head lifted at the sound of his voice. Not toward Hannah, toward Mercer. The dog's body changed in a way most people would miss. His shoulders locked. His breathing shortened. His paw curled over the vest. Hannah saw it. Mercer did not. I said step away. Mercer repeated. Hannah rose slowly. Ranger tracked her movement. But he did not growl at her. He's guarding something, she said. He is displaying possessive aggression. No, Hannah said. He's responding to a threat. Mercer gave a small laugh, with no humor in it. You are a night nurse, Ms. Cole. Not a veterinarian. Not a behavioral specialist. Not command authority for a military dog. The words were calm, but the insult was clear. Just a nurse. Hannah had heard it in 100 different ways. In crowded ER rooms, in staff meetings, in hallways where doctors forgot nurses could hear them. She had learned not to answer every insult. Some rooms needed action more than pride. She looked past Mercer at the red line on the order. Who authorized euthanasia, she asked. Hospital Risk Committee, County Animal Control, and Consulting Veterinary Authority. At 9, yes. Why is he still wearing his vest? Mercer's eyes shifted for less than a second. That was enough, because the last 2 people who tried to remove it got bitten. He said. Ranger's growl came low and immediate. Not at the word bitten. At remove it, Hannah felt the hair rise at the back of her neck. Mercer pointed to the door. Out. The younger security guard swallowed. His name tag read Ely Grant. He looked at Ranger. Then at the vest. Then at the paper on the glass. Hannah caught the flicker in his face. Doubt. Doctor. Mercer. She said. His shoulder wound needs cleaning. If you leave him like this for 6 hours, you increase pain, fear, and risk. The decision is final. Pain makes dogs reactive. This dog was reactive before he entered my hospital. My hospital, Hannah asked quietly. Mercer's eyes hardened. Ranger made a sound then. Not a bark. Not a growl. A low, broken breath that came from deep in his chest. His paw stayed fixed on the vest. Hannah looked at him again. A military canine with an execution order on the door. A handler missing from the room. Blood on the wrong side of the vest. And a doctor who looked more afraid of a pocket than a bite. Hannah didn't know it yet. But that mismatched blood on the wrong side of the vest was the first thread. And before this night was over, she would pull it until everything Mercer had built in this hospital came apart. Stay with me until the end of this one, because what Ranger was protecting wasn't just evidence. It was a voice. A veteran's last attempt to reach someone who could be trusted before the people trying to silence him succeeded. I want you to remember something. As this story unfolds, every person who helped that night, every small act of courage in that hospital corridor started exactly the same way Hannah's did. They noticed something no one else was willing to see. If you're listening tonight, drop a comment and tell me what city you're in. I want to see how far Ranger's story travels before sunrise. Now, 3 hours earlier. 3 hours earlier. Hannah Cole had almost called in sick. She had sat in her parked car behind St. Minute, Bartholomew Regional Medical Center, with both hands on the steering wheel, watching rain slide down the windshield in thin silver lines. The hospital glowed in front of her. All glass and fluorescent light. To most people, it looked safe. To Hannah, hospitals never looked safe at night. They looked awake. They looked hungry. Her phone had buzzed twice from the charge desk before she finally shut off the engine. Ruth Bell needed coverage in the ER. 2 nurses had flu symptoms. A trauma patient was being transferred from county. The night was already short-staffed. So Hannah went in. She tied her hair into a tighter bun in the elevator mirror. She clipped her badge to faded navy scrubs. She checked her expression before the doors opened. Calm. Always calm. The ER was full but quiet when she arrived. A construction worker slept with an ice pack over his wrist. A mother rocked a feverish toddler near the vending machines. A veteran in a worn ball cap sat alone with a paper cup of water. Staring at the floor, Hannah noticed the tremor in his left hand before she noticed the faded unit patch on his jacket. She brought him a warm blanket without asking. He looked up at her. Didn't say I was cold. No, she said. You didn't. He accepted the blanket anyway. That was Hannah. She did not talk much. She did not perform kindness like a speech. She saw what people were trying not to show, and she moved before shame could stop them from accepting help. Ruth Bell watched from the nurse's station with tired approval. "You keep doing that," Ruth said when Hannah returned. "Doing what?" "Noticing things that are not on the chart." Hannah washed her hands. "Charts are usually late." Ruth snorted. "Careful. That kind of talk gets nurses invited to meetings." "Then I'll walk slowly." Ruth was in her late 50s, with sharp eyes and a smoker's voice. Despite claiming she had quit 15 years ago, she had survived 3 hospital mergers, 4 software systems, and enough arrogant doctors to fill a conference room. She trusted Hannah more than she said. Most people did not know why. They only knew Hannah was good in emergencies and quiet afterward. At 12 in Papisada a.m., the ambulance bay doors opened hard enough to rattle the glass. A man came in on a stretcher surrounded by paramedics. Male, early 40s, unconscious, blood at the temple, chest strapped, one arm hanging loose until a medic tucked it back under the blanket. Behind the stretcher came chaos. Security shouting, a paramedic yelling, "Keep back," and then the dog. Ranger came through the doors low and fast, soaked from the rain, wearing a black tactical vest with torn straps and mud across the side. A leash dragged behind him. His shoulder was bleeding, but he did not seem to feel it. He went straight for the stretcher. One guard grabbed for the leash. Ranger spun, teeth flashing. The guard fell backward and hit the wall. People screamed. Someone shouted, "Get that dog out of here." The unconscious man's hand shifted off the stretcher. Ranger saw it and froze. The entire ER froze with him. Hannah stepped out from behind the medication cart. "Everybody, stop moving," she said. Her voice was not loud, but something in it cut through the panic. A paramedic looked at her. That dog already snapped at County. "Because everyone is grabbing him," Ruth hissed from behind her. "Hannah." Hannah did not move closer yet. She looked at Ranger's body, ears forward, weight centered, mouth open, not hunting, not attacking, guarding. The dog was planted between the stretcher and every stranger in the room. "He's protecting the patient," Hannah said. A doctor from trauma snapped. "He's interfering with care." "Then stop making yourselves look like threats." The doctor stared at her like she had slapped him. Hannah lowered her hand near her side. Palm turned inward. She did not offer it to Ranger. Dogs did not need a handshake in a crisis. "Easy, partner," she said. Ranger's ears twitched. The words had come out before she could stop them. Old words. Field words. Words from sand and rotor wash and blood-warm blankets under cold stars. Ranger stared at her. For 1 second. The ER was gone. Then the trauma team rolled the stretcher toward the double doors. Ranger moved with it, still blocking anyone who came too close to the man's left side. "What's the patient's name?" Hannah asked. A paramedic checked the tablet. Mason Vale, 43. Former military. Found near Access Road after single vehicle crash. Any family unknown. The dog made a sharp sound. Hannah looked at him. "He knows that word," she said. "Family." No one answered. Mason Vale disappeared through the trauma doors. Ranger tried to follow. Security moved in again. This time, 3 of them. The room erupted. One guard grabbed the vest strap. Ranger twisted and snapped. The guard cursed and clutched his forearm. Another guard swung a catch pole toward the dog's neck. Ranger backed into a corner. Shoulder bleeding harder now. Teeth bared. Hannah stepped forward before she could think better of it. "Drop the pole." The guard looked at her. "Are you insane? Drop it." Ruth grabbed Hannah's arm. "You cannot be in the middle of this." "I already am." That was when Dr. Mercer arrived. He took in the scene in less than 5 seconds, frightened patients, Angry guards. Bleeding dog. Unconscious veteran behind trauma doors. And Hannah standing too close. His face did not show fear. It showed calculation. Contain the animal, he said. He needs to stay near the handler. Hannah said. Mercer looked at her badge. Nurse Cole. Step back. He is calmer when he can see where the patient went. He has bitten staff. He reacted when they grabbed his vest. Mercer turned to the security guard. Did the dog bite you? The guard lifted his arm. There was blood, but not much. A scrape, maybe a shallow puncture. His sleeve was torn more than his skin. Yes, the guard said. Mercer nodded once, like the case had closed itself. Dangerous animal protocol, he said. Hannah stared at him. That protocol is for uncontained animals with ongoing attack behavior. It is also for animals that injure staff. That is not the same thing. Mercer's eyes moved to her face. Tonight it is. Ranger was forced into Isolation Room 3 just after 1:20 a.m. Not easily. Not kindly. Hannah watched through the glass while security backed him in with barriers instead of hands. That was the only reason no one else got hurt. Ranger kept trying to look down the hallway toward trauma, toward Mason. When the door shut, he did not throw himself against it. He did not bark until exhaustion. He turned in a tight circle, then lay down with his body curled over the tactical vest. Like the vest was alive. Like it was the patient. Hannah stayed near the glass longer than she should have. Ruth came up beside her with a clipboard pressed against her chest. You are thinking something, Ruth said. That dog is trained. Obviously. No, Hannah said. I mean, he is following a task. Ruth looked through the glass. His task may be biting anyone who comes near him. If that were true, he would have gone for me in the ER. Maybe you were lucky. Hannah watched Ranger's paw settle over the same pocket again. I do not think luck had anything to do with it. At 2:00 a.m. Mercer filed the first report. At 2024 a.m. An Apex MedShield supervisor arrived through the ambulance bay doors wearing a black rain jacket and carrying a hard case. Hannah had never seen him before, but Ranger had. The dog rose before the man reached the hall. His growl rolled through the glass. The Apex man stopped. Mercer stepped between him and the room, speaking too low for Hannah to hear. The man pointed once toward Ranger's vest. Mercer shook his head. Then both of them looked down the hallway toward the security office. Hannah saw that too. At 2:04, a county animal control consult was added to the chart. At 3:02 a.m., Ruth sent Hannah to check Ranger's wound because no one else wanted to enter the room. At 3:20 a.m., Hannah saw the death order. Now Mercer stood in the doorway, telling her the decision was final. Ranger was still watching him. Hannah folded her hands loosely in front of her. It made her look calmer than she felt. I need to clean his shoulder, she said. No. He is bleeding through the mat. No. Then document that you refused basic wound care before euthanasia. The younger security guard, Eli, looked at Mercer. Ruth, who had just arrived outside the room, looked at Hannah like she had stepped over a line and might not find her way back. Mercer took one slow step into the room. Ranger rose. Not all the way, just enough. The growl returned. Mercer stopped. Hannah did not miss it. Neither did Eli. See, Mercer said. Unstable. No, Hannah said. Specific. Mercer looked at her. Hannah kept her voice low. He did not react when Ruth came to the door. He did not react when Eli shifted his weight. He reacted when you stepped in. That is enough, Mercer said. And when you said remove the vest, the room went quiet. Ranger's breathing changed again. Faster. Protective. His paw pressed the left pocket. Mercer's face stayed still. but the skin around his eyes tightened. "You are tired?" he said. "You are emotional. You have a known habit of over-identifying with military patients." Ruth's head turned sharply. "Adrian," Hannah felt the words land, but she did not show it. There it was. Personnel. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a blade slid between ribs. Mercer had read her file. Or part of it. Enough to know she had military history. Enough to use it without understanding any of it. Hannah looked at Ranger. The dog was staring at Mercer with the hard focus of an animal that remembered harm. "Who is Mason Vale?" Hannah asked. Mercer did not answer right away. "He is the patient brought in with the dog," Hannah said. "Where is he in ICU?" "Alive, yes." Ranger made that broken sound again. Hannah's throat tightened. Mercer looked annoyed by the dog's grief. "He is not your concern," he said. "The dog thinks he is. The dog is scheduled for removal. Euthanasia." Hannah corrected. Mercer's jaw set. Hannah looked at the order on the glass one more time. 3:11 a.m. now. 5 hours and 49 minutes. She could feel the night narrowing. Ruth stepped closer to the doorway. "Hannah, come out." This time, Hannah listened. She backed away from Ranger slowly, keeping her body turned until she reached the door. Ranger did not growl. He watched her leave. Just before the door closed, Hannah looked down. There, near the base of Ranger's vest, half hidden under the edge of the blanket, was a thin strip of black plastic. It looked like part of a broken clip. No, not a clip. A cracked memory card case. Hannah saw it for only a second before Ranger moved his paw and covered it. Mercer did not notice, but Ranger did. The dog looked up at Hannah through the glass, and for the first time that night, Hannah understood the shape of his fear. He was not afraid of dying. He was afraid of dying before someone found what he had kept safe. And what was on that card, that cracked sliver of plastic? Guarded through a car crash, through emergency transport, through 2 hours locked alone in an isolation room, was something nobody in that hospital was prepared for. Not even Hannah. Hannah left Isolation Room 3 with the feeling that Ranger's eyes were still on her back. The hallway outside felt too bright after the blue light in his room. Everything shone with that polished hospital shine that made bad decisions look clean. The floor had been mopped. The glass had been wiped. The red warning tag on Ranger's door looked official enough to scare anyone who did not know better. Dangerous, do not approach. Hannah stopped at the nurse's station and opened the active patient list. Ruth Bell came up beside her. "Do not do anything stupid. I am checking on the patient who came in with him." "That is not stupid yet." "Thank you." I said yet. Hannah typed Vale. Mason. The screen loaded slowly. Mason Vale. Male. 43. Trauma admission. ICU room 12. Status critical but stable. Mechanism, single vehicle collision. Notes, altered consciousness at scene. Possible seizure before crash. No family present. Hannah stared at the words. Possible seizure. She had seen Mason when he came in. Blood at the temple. Chest bruising. Left wrist swollen. But the way his body had lain on that stretcher did not fit a simple seizure behind the wheel. His injuries looked braced. Defensive. Like he had tried to protect something before impact. Ruth followed her eyes. "You are not assigned to ICU." Ruth said, "I know. You are assigned to ER overflow." "I know that too." Hannah. Hannah closed the chart. Ranger heard his name. Ruth's expression softened for 1 second. Then the charge nurse came back. A dog reacting to a name is not evidence. "No," Hannah said, "but it is a direction." Ruth sighed. 5 minutes. You go up. You look. You do not touch his chart. You do not start a war. Hannah looked toward Isolation 3. Behind the glass, Ranger had lowered himself again, but his head was up. His paw remained pressed over the vest pocket. "I think the war already started," Hannah said. While Hannah was in that elevator, Dr. Mercer was one floor below her. At 3:08 a.m., he made a call from his private office line. The call lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, a new entry appeared in Ranger's file, "Supplemental Restraint Authorization approved in the event of escalating behavior." Mercer initialed it without turning on the lights. In isolation 3. Ranger's head lifted. His paw pressed harder over the vest. The elevator to ICU smelled like metal, old coffee, and rainwater from wet shoes. Hannah rode alone to the 3rd floor. Her reflection stared back from the steel doors. She looked tired, not frightened. That mattered. Fear moved fast. Fear made hands clumsy. Fear made people talk too much. Hannah had learned long ago to let fear sit in the back seat while her body did the work. The ICU was quieter than the ER. Different quiet. Heavier. Machines breathed for people. Monitors blinked in dark rooms. Families slept in chairs with their mouths open and their hands still curled around phones. Room 12 was at the end of the hall. A young ICU nurse looked up from the desk. "Can I help you, Hannah Cole?" I came with the trauma from the ambulance bay." The nurse checked the screen. "Mason Vale, yes. He is not awake." "I know." "You family? No." The nurse's expression changed. "Not rude. Careful. Hospital careful." Hannah lowered her voice. "His dog is downstairs." That did it. The nurse glanced toward room 12. The dog that bit security. The dog that protected him. Pause. Then the ICU nurse said, 2 minutes. Hannah nodded once and entered. Mason Vale lay under white sheets that made him look older than 43. There were lines in his face that did not come from age. Short, dark hair. Gray at the temples. Bruising along his cheekbone. A bandage at his temple. One hand resting outside the blanket. Fingers swollen. Knuckles split. Not from a steering wheel. Hannah moved closer. She did not touch him. She looked first. That was the old rule. Look before hands. Listen before action. His breathing was supported, but steady. The monitor gave a soft rhythm. His left shoulder was bruised, deep purple near the collarbone. There was a scrape high on his neck. Thin and angled. A strap mark. Hannah looked toward the small plastic bag on the counter. Patient belongings. Wallet. Watch. Cracked phone. Belt. One mud-stained bootlace. No military ID tag. No handler patch. No emergency contact card. No leash. No second dog tag from Ranger's collar. Hannah's eyes narrowed. A man like Mason Vale did not travel with a military K9 and no emergency contact. Not if the dog was trained. Not if there was a transport plan. Not if anything about this night was normal. She turned to leave, then stopped. Mason's right hand twitched. Not much. One movement. 2 fingers curling toward the blanket. Hannah stepped back to the bed. "Mason," she said softly. "My name is Hannah Cole. Ranger is downstairs." The monitor changed. Only slightly, but enough. His heart rate lifted. His fingers moved again. Hannah leaned closer. "He is alive." Mason's eyelids did not open. His mouth shifted around the tube. His body fought for a word it could not make. "Do not try to talk." Hannah said, "Just hear me. Ranger is alive." A tear slipped from the corner of Mason's closed eye and disappeared into his hair. Hannah forgot to breathe for half a second. She had seen men cry unconscious before. The body remembered what the mind could not reach. Pain. Names. Orders. Dogs. Especially dogs. Behind her, the ICU nurse whispered. That happened when someone said the dog was being removed. Hannah turned. "Who said that?" The nurse hesitated. "Please," Hannah said. "Dr. Mercer came up around 2:30. With a man from some security company, they asked if Mr. Vale had regained consciousness. He had not. Then the man said something about removing the dog and securing the vest. Hannah felt the room sharpen. Securing the vest. She repeated, "That is what I heard." Did they take anything from his belongings? The nurse looked toward the plastic bag. "I was with another patient for part of it." That was answer enough. Hannah looked back at Mason. His hand was still curled. His face was still, but the tear had left a track. "I will not let them take him," Hannah said. The monitor steadied. She did not know if Mason heard. She chose to believe he did. I want to pause here for just a moment, because what Hannah just witnessed, an unconscious man crying at the sound of his dog's name, is something that will never appear on a hospital chart. No diagnosis for that. No billing code. No official record. But it happened, and it changed what Hannah was willing to risk for the rest of that night. Hold on to that moment. The story is about to ask a lot of her. When Hannah returned to the ER, the clock over the nurse's station read 3:38 a.m. 5 hours and 22 minutes. Ruth was waiting with her arms crossed. "You were gone 9 minutes. You said 5. I was being generous." Mason reacted to Ranger's name. Ruth's face changed. Reacted how? Heart rate, hand movement, tears. Ruth looked away for a moment. Nurses knew what that meant. They also knew what it did not mean. It was not a miracle. It was not proof in a courtroom, but it was human. And sometimes human truth arrived before official truth. Hannah moved to the staff terminal. Ruth lowered her voice. "Tell me you are not opening restricted reports. I am opening staff injury documentation." "Hannah, Ranger is scheduled to die based on those injuries. If the documentation is false, the order is false." Ruth glanced down the hallway. Mercer was not visible. 2 minutes. Ruth said, "You are very generous tonight. I am very close to regret." Hannah opened the first report. Security Officer Mark Jensen. Injury: puncture wound. Right forearm. Cause: unprovoked bite from military dog during containment. Treatment: wound clean. Bandage. Antibiotic. Protocol. She clicked the attached photo. The image showed a shallow crescent scrape and one small puncture. Hannah leaned in. Ruth saw her expression. "What? That is not an unprovoked full bite from a Malinois in drive." English. Please. If Ranger meant to attack, Mark Jensen would not have one neat puncture and a torn sleeve. This looks like a correction bite. A what? A warning. Contact without follow-through. Ruth frowned. "Still a bite." "Yes," Hannah said, "but not the story they wrote." She opened the second report. Apex MedShield employee. Name: Victor Hale. Injury: left hand laceration. Cause: K9 attack. While employee assisted hospital security, there was no photo. Hannah checked the timestamp. 2:27 m. That is after Ranger was already contained. She said. Ruth leaned closer. Contained where isolation 3. Ruth's jaw tightened. Then how did he bite an Apex employee in the hallway? Hannah clicked through the attached note. No witness signature, no nurse verification, no treatment note from ER staff. Just Mercer's digital approval. Hannah sat back. The first lie had a shape now. Not the whole lie, but enough to touch. She had no idea she was holding the edge of something that went much deeper than a false injury report. In less than 2 hours, that thread would unravel something reaching all the way back to a war she thought she had left behind. A voice behind them said, "You are not supposed to be in that file." Hannah turned. Eli Grant stood near the end of the desk. Cap in his hands. He looked younger without the hard set of panic on his face. Early 20s. Maybe. Tired eyes. Rain still drying on his uniform collar. Ruth closed the report window. "You need something." "Eli," she asked. He looked toward isolation 3. Then toward Mercer's office. Then back at Hannah. You said he reacted when people grabbed the vest. Hannah stood. Yes. Eli swallowed. That is what happened. Ruth went still. Hannah kept her voice calm. Tell me. Eli rubbed his thumb across the edge of his cap. When they brought the guy in, the dog followed. We were told to separate them. I reached for the leash first. He warned me. I backed off. You were not bitten then, no. Who touched the vest? Eli's eyes flicked again toward Mercer's office. The Apex guy. Victor Hale, I think so. Black jacket. Hard case. He came in like he already knew what he wanted. What did he do? He said the vest was company property and had to be secured. But the dog was still beside the stretcher. Hale grabbed the left strap. The dog snapped. Not at his face. Not at his throat. Just his hand. After Hale grabbed the vest, Hannah said. Eli nodded. Was Mason conscious? Eli's face tightened. For a few seconds, Hannah felt Ruth shift beside her. What did Mason say? Hannah asked. I could not hear everything. There was a lot of shouting, but he kept trying to point at the dog or the vest. I do not know. He said. Eli stopped. Say it? He said. Don't let them take it. The ER seemed to fall away from Hannah for one breath. Don't let them take it. Not don't let them take him. The vest. The thing Ranger was guarding? Think about what that takes. A man barely holding on to consciousness, surrounded by strangers in an emergency room, unable to protect himself or his dog, and the last thing he pushed through the pain to say wasn't help me. It was a warning about an object, because whatever was in that vest was important enough to say even when saying anything at all was costing him everything. Ranger had understood that from the moment they came through those ambulance bay doors, he had been waiting all night for someone else to understand it too. Ruth whispered. Good Lord. Eli's face flushed. I should have said something earlier. You are saying it now. Hannah said. They told us he was dangerous. They said if anyone questioned the report, we could be held responsible if he hurt a patient. Who said that, doctor? Mercer. Of course. The hallway doors opened. Mercer stepped out with Victor Hale beside him. Victor Hale was mid-40s. Broad. Clean-shaven, with the stiff posture of a man who wanted people to think he had been military. Hannah knew the type. Too many tactical jackets. Too much confidence around people who were actually trained. Ranger saw him through the isolation glass. The dog rose instantly. His growl filled the room before Hale even spoke. Hale stopped walking. Mercer did not. What is going on here? Mercer asked. Eli stepped back. Ruth moved in front of the terminal. Hannah did not move. I checked on Mason Vale, she said. Mercer's eyes narrowed. You are not assigned to ICU. He responded to Ranger's name. That is clinically irrelevant. It is clinically human. Victor Hale gave a short laugh. Touching, but the dog is still a threat. Ranger's growl deepened. Hannah watched him. Not random. Specific. You said he bit you. Hannah said to Hale. Hale looked at her. He did. Where? He lifted his left hand. A clean white bandage wrapped across the palm. Who treated it? Hannah asked. That is none of your concern. It is if your injury is part of a euthanasia order. Mercer stepped closer. Nurse Cole, you are done asking questions. Ranger barked once. Sharp. Everyone turned. The dog had moved to the glass. His paw struck the floor near the vest. Not the door. Then he looked at Hannah. Pav. Vest? Hannah. Pav. Vest? Ruth whispered. What is he doing? Hannah did not answer. She was watching Ranger's eyes. He was not asking to be freed. He was asking her to understand the order. Not the hospital order. His order. Protect this. Mercer pointed toward the nurse's station. Log out of that terminal. Hannah kept her gaze on Ranger. He wants the vest opened. Victor Hale's face changed. Fast. Too fast. No, Hale said. The word came out before he could polish it. Hannah looked at him. Mercer also looked at him. For a second. The two men were not aligned. One had made a mistake. The other knew it. Hannah stepped toward Isolation 3. Mercer blocked her path. You will not enter that room again. Ranger's body went rigid. Hannah stopped before the dog could react harder. I am the only one he is allowed near him, she said. You are also the only one creating confusion. No, Hannah said. The confusion started when your report said he attacked unprovoked. Mercer's voice dropped. Careful. Ruth touched Hannah's elbow. A warning. A plea. Hannah heard it. She also heard Mason's silent monitor in her memory. She saw the tear on his face. She saw Ranger's paw over the vest. And she saw Victor Hale's fear when she said opened. Hannah stepped back from Mercer. Not in surrender, but to keep Ranger calm. Fine, she said. Then call the consulting veterinarian now. Wake them up. Ask them to examine the dog before the order. Mercer smiled thinly. The appointment is at 9. Then let Dr. Park document his wound. Dr. Park is in surgery. Then let Ruth witness me cleaning it. No. Why? Because the decision has been made. Hannah looked through the glass at Ranger. His paw was still over the vest pocket. What decision, she asked. To put down a dangerous dog, or to make sure nobody opens what he is guarding. The silence after that was not empty. It was full. Victor Hale took one step toward her. You need to remember your role. Ranger exploded against the glass. Not with teeth. With his whole body. One hard slam that shook the door in its frame. Hale jumped back. Hannah turned instantly. Palm low. Ranger. Down. The dog froze. Hannah had not meant to use command tone. It came from somewhere old. Somewhere trained. Somewhere she did not visit unless the night forced the door open. Ranger stared at her. Then, slowly, he lowered himself. Not completely, but enough. Ruth's mouth parted. Eli looked at Hannah like he had just realized she was not only a nurse. Mercer saw it too, and he hated it. Hannah kept her hand low. Good. Hold. Ranger held. His breathing was hard. His eyes stayed on Hale. But he held. Hannah turned back to Mercer. That dog is not out of control, she said. He is disciplined under stress. Mercer's face had lost its polish. Leave this area, he said. No. Ruth closed her eyes for half a second. Hannah continued before anyone else could speak. Not until someone explains why Mason Vale said not to let them take it. Not until someone explains why the Apex injury report has no ER treatment note. Not until someone explains why a dog trained to guard his handler is being killed before anyone checks what he was guarding. Victor Hale's voice went cold. You are making a serious accusation. No, Hannah said. I am asking a serious question. Mercer turned to Eli. Return to your post. Eli did not move. That was small, but it mattered. Mercer noticed. Now, Eli's jaw worked. Then he stepped back. But not far. Hannah knew that kind of courage. The first inch. The first refusal no one could quite punish yet. The clock above the hall changed to 3:56 a.m. 5 hours and 4 minutes. Mercer leaned close enough that only Hannah and Ruth could hear. If you continue down this road, I will remove you from duty before sunrise. Hannah looked at Ranger. The dog was still down. Still guarding. Still waiting. Then I guess we both have until 9, she said. Mercer stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away with Victor Hale. Hale looked back once at the isolation room. Ranger did not bark. He simply placed his paw over the vest pocket again. Slow. Deliberate, like a witness placing a hand over a Bible. Hannah watched him do it. Then she looked at Ruth. I need 5 minutes inside that room. Ruth shook her head. You heard Mercer. I heard Mason. Hannah. I heard the dog too. Ruth stared at her for a long time. The ER hummed around them. Phones rang. Monitors beeped. Somewhere? A patient coughed. The normal sounds of a normal hospital night tried to cover the fact that something very wrong was happening in plain sight. Finally, Ruth looked toward the hall where Mercer had gone. Then she looked at Eli. Security camera outside. Isolation 3. Ruth said, Does it record audio? Eli shook his head. Video only. Good. Hannah understood. Ruth pointed at her with the clipboard. 2 minutes. You clean the shoulder. You do not remove the vest unless the dog gives you no other choice. You do not get bitten. And if anyone asks, I was checking the crash cart. Hannah almost smiled. Ruth did not. I mean it. Ruth said, Do not make me regret believing you. Hannah looked through the glass. Ranger was watching her again. I think he has been waiting for someone to believe him, she said. Ruth opened the supply drawer and handed her sterile gauze, saline, and gloves. Eli moved to the hallway corner, pretending to check his radio. Hannah entered Isolation Room 3 for the second time. The door clicked shut behind her. Ranger did not rise. Hannah crouched 3 feet away. It is just me, she said, and I know you are tired. The dog's eyes stayed open. I saw Mason, she whispered. Ranger's ears lifted. He is alive. The sound that came out of Ranger then nearly broke her. It was not a whine. Not exactly. It was deeper. A grief sound. A sound made by an animal holding an entire world in his chest and not knowing where to put it. Hannah blinked once and made herself stay steady. He needs you alive too, she said. Ranger looked down at the vest, then back at her. Hannah placed the gauze on the floor between them. I am going to clean your shoulder, not the vest. Shoulder first. Ranger watched her hand. She moved slowly. 1 inch, then another. When her fingers touched the fur near his wound, his skin jumped. His teeth showed for 1 second, but he did not bite. I know, she said. I know. She cleaned around the wound with saline. It was ugly, but not fatal. Painful. Neglected. The kind of wound that would make any dog defensive if men kept grabbing him. As she worked, Ranger shifted. His paw moved off the vest pocket. Not far, just enough. Hannah stopped breathing. Under the edge of the tactical seam was the cracked black case she had seen before. Ranger looked at it, then at Hare. Permission. Not full trust, but enough. Hannah reached with 2 fingers. The case slid free. Inside was not a memory card. Not yet. It was the broken shell of one. A decoy. Her heart sank. Then Ranger's paw tapped the vest again. Different place. Higher. Closer to the chest strap. Hannah followed his gaze. There was a second seam there. Hand-stitched. Newer than the rest. Someone had opened the vest and closed it again. Badly. Quickly. Hannah touched the seam. Ranger did not move. Behind the glass. Ruth stood watch. Hannah slipped 1 finger under the loose thread. A tiny corner of clear plastic appeared. Not a case. A sterile evidence sleeve. Inside it was a cracked micro SD card, wrapped in a strip of medical tape. On the tape, someone had written a name in shaky black letters. Val. Hannah stared at it. Then Ranger placed his nose against her wrist. Not pushing, not pleading, confirming. The dog had not been guarding a vest. He had been guarding Mason's last voice. Hannah did not move for 3 full seconds. The micro SD card lay in her gloved palm, small enough to disappear between 2 fingers. It should not have felt heavy. It was a sliver of plastic and metal, cracked along one edge, wrapped in medical tape with veil written across it. But Hannah felt its weight all the way up her arm. Ranger's nose stayed against her wrist. He did not push. He did not whine. He simply held contact, as if he needed to know she understood the handoff. "I have it," Hannah whispered. Ranger blinked. Outside the glass, Ruth Bell's face had gone pale. She glanced down the hall, then back at Hannah. Eli stood at the corner with his radio held near his mouth, pretending to listen to static. Hannah slipped the micro SD card into a sterile specimen envelope. She sealed it, wrote the time on the label, and placed it inside the inner pocket of her scrub top. 3969. 5 hours and 1 minute. Ranger lowered his head, but his eyes stayed open. His shoulder wound was cleaner now. Not fixed, not safe, but no longer caked with rain and hallway dirt. Hannah reached for the loose vest strap. Ranger's body tightened. She stopped. "I know," she said, not taking it, just checking. His eyes searched her face. Hannah moved her hand away from the buckle and touched the floor instead. "Your rules." The dog breathed out. Only then did she see the second stain. It was under the chest strap, partly hidden by the black nylon. Same dark red-brown color as the first. Wrong location for Ranger's shoulder wound. Wrong pattern for dripping blood. This blood had been smeared. Someone had handled the vest with a bloody hand. Hannah looked toward the hallway. Victor Hale had worn a clean white bandage on his left palm. The door opened. Ruth leaned in just enough to speak. "Out. Now." Hannah rose, slow and calm. Ranger's head lifted. His paw started to move back to the vest. "It is still here." Hannah told him, "I am not letting them take it." Ranger watched her with that same working dog focus. Then, for the first time, he lowered his head all the way onto the blanket. Not sleep. Permission. Hannah stepped out and closed the door. Ruth grabbed her elbow and pulled her 3 feet down the hall. "Tell me you did not find what I think you found." "I found a micro SD card." Ruth shut her eyes. "Lord." It was hidden inside the vest lining, marked with Mason's name. "Do not say that out loud again." Eli looked over his shoulder. "Mercer's coming back." Hannah tucked the specimen envelope deeper inside her scrub pocket. Ruth noticed. "Give it to me." "No. I can lock it in the medroom." "No." "Hannah, if he searches you, he cannot search me without making this bigger than he wants." Ruth stared at her. That was true. And dangerous. Before Ruth could answer, Mercer appeared at the end of the hall with Victor Hale beside him. This time, Mercer carried a clipboard. Hale carried the hard case Hannah had seen earlier. Behind them walked a woman in a county jacket. Hair pulled into a severe ponytail. Eyes tired but alert. Mercer's voice carried down the hall. "Nurse Cole." Ranger lifted his head behind the glass. Hannah stepped away from Ruth. Mercer stopped in front of her. He did not look angry now. That was worse. He looked prepared. "This is Dr. Aaron Lask," he said. "County Animal Control Veterinary Consultant." Dr. Lask looked at Hannah, then at Ranger through the glass. "I was told the animal attacked staff. He reacted after someone grabbed his vest," Hannah said. Mercer held up the clipboard. "Nurse Cole is not part of this consult." "Doctor." Lask's eyebrows rose slightly. Mercer continued. "The decision remains scheduled for 9. Until then, we are moving the animal to a secure holding area near the ambulance bay." Hannah's stomach tightened. "Why?" she asked. "Isolation. 3 is too close to patient care areas. He has been contained for over 2 hours. He has shown escalating aggression." Ranger stood. Hale shifted the hard case from one hand to the other. Hannah saw Ranger's eyes lock on him. "Do not bring that man near him," she said. Hale smiled. The dog and I are already acquainted. That is what concerns me. Mercer's face cooled. Enough. Dr. Lask looked between them. I would prefer to examine the dog before transport. Mercer answered before Hannah could. Not possible. He is too reactive. He allowed wound cleaning. Hannah said. Mercer turned sharply. You entered the room after being instructed not to. Ruth stepped in. I authorized basic wound care. Mercer looked at her. You did not have authority. Then write me up too. Ruth said, for one brief second. Hannah loved her. Mercer's gaze hardened. This is not a debate. Security will assist transfer. Eli's hand tightened around his radio. Hannah looked at the clock. 8:40 Lapan a.m. Mercer had moved the battlefield. Not 9 anymore. Not the final appointment. He was trying to get Ranger away from the hospital cameras. Away from Ruth. Away from Hannah. And closer to whatever Apex controlled near the ambulance bay. Where exactly is secure holding? Hannah asked. Loading corridor C. That is not a clinical holding area. It is closed to patients. It has no monitoring. It has a door. Ranger growled behind the glass. Doctor, Lask's eyes moved to him. Why is he reacting now? Hannah said. Because he recognizes Mr. Hale. Hale laughed once. Dogs growl. Not like that. Mercer gave the clipboard to Ruth. Transfer form. Sign witness. Ruth did not take it. The silence was small but sharp. Mercer's mouth tightened. Charge Nurse Bell. Ruth looked at the form. It says Ranger attacked unprovoked. That is the current report. It is not what my nurse observed. Your nurse is compromised. Hannah felt that one coming before he said it. Mercer looked at Dr. Lask. Ms. Cole has prior military trauma. She is emotionally over-identifying with the animal and the handler. Dr. Lask's expression changed. Not belief. Concern. And concern was enough to damage a nurse. Hannah made herself breathe slowly. Mercer turned back to her. You will step away from all matters involving this dog and Mason Vale. Effective immediately. Ranger barked. One hard sound. Hannah did not flinch. Do not use my history to cover your report. She said. Mercer's eyes flashed. Your history is relevant when you disobey direct clinical instruction. My history is why I know that dog is guarding evidence. Hale's smile vanished. Dr. Lask looked at Hannah. Evidence. Mercer cut in. Speculation. Hannah looked at Dr. Lask. Not Mercer. Ask him why Apex wants the vest. Dr. Lask turned to Hale. Hale's face closed. The vest is company property. Ruth's voice was flat. I thought Ranger was military. He was transported under a service contract. Hale said. With a veteran handler, Hannah said. Property still has ownership rules. Ranger slammed one paw against the lower glass. Not wild, demanding. Hannah looked at him. The vest. He wanted the vest dealt with before transport. Mercer motioned to Eli. Get the restraint pole. Eli did not move. Officer Grant. Mercer said. Eli swallowed. Sir. Maybe Dr. Lask should examine him first. Mercer stared at him. Do you want liability for another bite? Eli's face went red. That was how Mercer did it. Not with shouting. With fear. With forms. With words that made good people picture losing jobs. Homes. Health insurance. Their future. Hannah knew fear worked because fear was practical. But Ranger did not have until people found courage. She stepped toward Dr. Lask. If he is moved before examination, his stress will increase. If Hale enters first, Ranger will react. Then Mercer will call that proof. Mercer's voice went low. Enough. Hannah ignored him. Let me remove the vest under observation. Slowly. If the vest is the trigger, we reduce risk. If there is nothing inside, you lose nothing. If there is something inside, then killing him before checking it becomes a very different decision. Doctor, Lask looked through the glass. Ranger stood still, eyes on Hannah. Can you control him? She asked. No, Hannah said. Mercer almost smiled. Hannah continued. I can work with him. There is a difference. Doctor, Lask studied her face. Then she said, I want to see. Mercer turned on her. Dr. I was called for a dangerous animal consult. Doctor, Lask said, not to rubber stamp paperwork. Ruth's eyes flicked to Hannah. A door had opened. Small, temporary, but open. Mercer leaned closer to Dr. Lask, you are not aware of the full liability picture. Then give me the full file. I will. After I examine the dog, Hale's jaw flexed. That vest cannot be removed by unauthorized staff. Hannah looked at him. Why chain of custody? Ruth gave a humorless laugh. Funny time to care about that. Hale glared at her. Doctor, Lask pointed to the door. Nurse Cole goes in first. No pole. No shouting. Mr. Hale stays back. Mercer's face had gone still again. That stillness was warning. But he had an outside consultant watching now. He could not refuse without showing too much. Hannah put on fresh gloves. Ruth touched her arm. Do not get hurt. Hannah nodded. She entered Isolation 3. Ranger's head turned toward her immediately. He saw the people behind the glass. Mercer. Ruth. Doctor. Lask. Ellie. Then Hale. His lips lifted. Ranger, Hannah said. His eyes snapped back to her. Easy. Partner. Still breathing. The phrase left her mouth softly. Ranger's growl faded, but his body stayed tense. Hannah crouched. I need to take the vest off. Not from you. For you? Ranger did not move. Hannah placed one hand on the floor, then touched the first buckle. His skin jumped. She stopped. I know. Behind the glass. Hale shifted forward. Ranger's head whipped toward him. Hannah's voice sharpened. Hale stays back. Doctor. Lask immediately raised one hand. Mr. Hale. Do not move. Hale froze. Ranger looked back at Hannah. She waited until his breathing slowed. First buckle. Click. Ranger trembled. Second buckle. Click. The vest loosened across his ribs. Beneath it, his fur was damp with sweat and old rain. Hannah saw pressure marks where someone had pulled the straps too hard. Who did this to you? She whispered. Ranger closed his eyes for half a second. She eased the vest away from his shoulder wound. He made one pain sound, but he did not snap. His teeth showed once, then disappeared. Good, Hannah said. Good boy. Hold. The final strap caught under his chest. Hannah reached under. Ranger's entire body locked. Not at her hand. At Hale's reflection in the glass, Hale had lifted his phone. Put it away, Hannah said. Hale's face hardened. Dr. Lask turned. Now. He lowered it. Hannah slid the final strap free. The vest came off. Ranger stood naked without it. And somehow that looked worse than the wound. Working dogs carried their gear like identity. Without it, Ranger looked exposed. He stepped forward and pressed his body against Hannah's knee. Not hiding. Anchoring. Hannah held the vest in both hands. It was heavier than it looked. Doctor. Lask opened the door a few inches. Pass it out. Ranger's head lifted sharply. No, Hannah said. Mercer's voice cut through. "Do it." Ranger growled. Hannah looked down at the vest. The left inner seam was torn. The hidden pocket was empty now, except for loose thread and dried blood. But there was another stiffness along the back panel. A second compartment. She had not felt it before because the vest had been tight against Ranger's body. "Hannah," Ruth warned. Hannah shifted the vest under the room light. There, pressed between padding and outer nylon, was a flat rectangle. Not a card, a folded document sleeve. Hale saw it too. He moved before anyone could stop him. Ranger launched toward the glass. Hannah dropped one knee and caught his collar with both hands. "Ranger, hold." The dog stopped so hard his nails scraped the floor. His body shook with the force of obeying. Hale had already reached the door. Eli stepped in front of him. "Back up," Eli said. Holly stared at him. "Move." "No." It was the first full no Eli had given all night. Ruth moved beside him. "Doctor." Lask's voice became steel. "No one enters." Mercer looked at Hale with fury. Not because Hale had threatened Hannah, but because Hale had exposed panic. Hannah held Ranger until his shaking slowed. "You did right," she whispered. "You did right." Ranger's chest heaved. She took the folded sleeve from the vest padding. It was sealed in plastic. Inside was a printed transfer manifest, creased and stained. At the top was the Apex MedShield logo. Below it, in black ink, was Mason Vale's name. Beside his name was Ranger's ID number. And under destination, someone had written ST. Bartholomew Risk Office direct handoff to a double Mercer. Hannah looked through the glass at Mercer. For the first time, he did not look calm. "Dr." Lask read his face. Ruth read Hannah's. Eli read Hale's. And Ranger, pressed against Hannah's knee, kept his eyes on the one man who had tried to take the vest. Hannah slid the manifest into a second specimen envelope. Mercer opened the door fully. "That document is hospital property," he said. "No," Hannah said. "It was hidden in a K9 vest, covered in blood. You are suspended from duty pending review." Ruth stepped forward. "Adrian effective immediately." Mercer pointed at Hannah's badge. "Hand it over." The hallway went silent. Patients in nearby rooms could not see everything. But they felt the shift. Staff stopped moving. Even the monitors seemed quieter. Hannah looked down at her badge. Hannah Cole, RN. A small rectangle of plastic. A photo she hated. A title she had earned twice. Once in school, once in every room where she had stayed when others walked away. Mercer held out his hand. Ranger growled. Hannah touched the dog's head once. "Easy." Then she unclipped the badge. Ruth's eyes shone with anger. "Hannah, do not," she said. "If he needs my badge to feel powerful," Hannah said quietly, "let him hold it." She placed the badge in Mercer's hand. His fingers closed around it. But the victory did not land the way he wanted. Because Ranger stepped with Hannah when she moved? Not toward Mercer. Not toward the door. With Hannah, the dog, who had been called too dangerous to approach, now walked beside the suspended nurse without a leash. Without a snap. Without a sound. "Doctor." Lask watched every step. Eli watched too. So did half the ER. Hannah stopped in the hallway, one hand resting lightly on Ranger's neck. "I am no longer on duty," she said to Mercer. "So you can stop calling this insubordination." Mercer's face tightened. "Security will escort you out." "Maybe," Hannah said. "But first you need to explain to Dr. Lask why your name is on a hidden Apex transfer manifest." Ruth's mouth opened slightly. "Dr. Lask turned to Mercer. Hale took one step back. Mercer recovered fast. "That manifest is being misrepresented. Then let us preserve it." "Doctor." Lask said. Mercer looked at her. She did not look away. The power in the hall shifted 1 inch. Only 1. But Hannah felt it. Ranger did too. His breathing eased. Then Mercer did the thing Hannah expected. He did not answer the question. He changed the battlefield again. Officer Grant, he said, call hospital security lead. Loading corridor C. Immediate animal transfer. If Nurse Cole interferes, she is to be removed from the property. Eli looked sick. Mercer turned to Ruth. And if any staff member assists her, their employment status will be reviewed. There it was. Not just Hannah now. Everyone. Fear spread faster when it had families attached. Ruth's jaw clenched. Doctor, Lask said, I have not cleared transport. Mercer replied, this is no longer a veterinary decision. It is hospital security. Hale reached for his phone again. Hannah looked at Ranger. The dog had given her the card. The manifest? The trust. Now the hospital was going to move him anyway. She had one choice left before the night decided for her. She stepped close to Ruth and spoke quietly. I need a sterile chain envelope, a witness signature, and a phone that is not on the hospital network. Ruth stared at her. You are asking me to cross a line. No, Hannah said. I am asking you to help me mark where the line really is. Ranger leaned his shoulder against Hannah's leg. Ruth looked down at him. The dog's amber eyes lifted to hers. Not begging. Waiting. Ruth Bell had been a nurse for 32 years. She had seen policy save lives and policy cover cowardice. She had signed forms that mattered and forms that meant nothing. She had watched good nurses break under bad leadership because they were told obedience was the same as ethics. She looked at Mercer holding Hannah's badge, then at Ranger, then at the clock. 4 Tigosatawam, 4 hours and 29 minutes. Ruth turned to Eli. Get me the chain envelope. Eli did not hesitate this time. Yes. Ma'am? Mercer's voice cracked across the hall. Do not. Eli kept walking. That was the moment Hannah knew the night had changed. Not enough to win. Not yet. But enough that she was no longer alone. Ranger took 1 step forward, placing his body between Hannah and Victor Hale. No teeth. No barking. Just presence. A wounded dog. A suspended nurse. An old charge nurse. And a young guard with shaking hands against a hospital that had already signed a death order. Hannah slipped the micro SD card and manifest into the chain envelope Ruth brought back. Ruth signed as witness. Doctor. Lask signed as observing consultant. Eli signed last. His handwriting, uneven but clear. Mercer watched all 3 signatures appear. Hale looked ready to bolt. Hannah sealed the envelope. Ranger's nose touched the edge of it. Good. Hannah whispered. We keep it safe. The hallway doors opened at the far end. More security arrived. Not Eli's kind of security. Older. Larger. Less uncertain. Mercer lifted Hannah's badge in one hand and pointed with the other. Remove her, he said, and take the dog. Ranger's body lowered into a working stance. Hannah placed one hand on his collar. Not yet, she whispered. But the corridor was already moving toward them, and for the first time since 3:07 a.m., Hannah did not know if she could keep both the evidence and the dog alive until sunrise. The security team moved down the corridor like they had already been told who the problem was. Not Ranger, not Victor Hale. Hannah, 2 men in dark hospital jackets came first. Behind them was a third with a restraint pole in one hand and thick gloves tucked under his arm. They were not running. They did not need to. Their confidence said they had removed difficult people before. Mercer stood near the nurse's station with Hannah's badge still in his hand. Clear the hall, he said. Patients looked through half-open curtains. Nurses froze at doorways. Ruth Bell stayed beside Hannah. Eli Grant stood a few steps away. evidence envelope pressed to his chest like he was afraid someone might tear it from him. Ranger felt the shift before anyone touched him. His body lowered. His ears moved forward. Hannah slid one hand under his collar. Easy. The dog did not take his eyes off the men. Doctor. Aaron Lask stepped into the path of the security team. I have not authorized physical restraint. The lead guard looked past her to Mercer. Mercer said, "This is a hospital security matter now." "No." "Doctor," Lask said, "it is an animal control matter once you involve a restraint pole, and I am telling you not to use it." Victor Hale made an impatient sound. "We are wasting time." Ranger's gaze snapped to him. Hannah felt the collar tighten under her fingers. Not a pull. A warning traveling through muscle. Hale talks. Ranger reacts. Hannah said. Mercer's voice stayed cold. Then, remove Hale from the hallway. For 1 second, Hale looked offended. Then he understood. Mercer was not protecting him. Mercer was controlling the scene. Hale stepped back toward the ambulance bay doors. But Ranger did not relax. Hannah looked at the clock. 8:30 M.4. 4 hours and 23 minutes. The death order still hung on the isolation door behind them. But the real deadline had moved closer. Mercer did not need to wait until 9 if he could get Ranger into a closed corridor first. Ruth leaned close. "We need that envelope out of here," Eli whispered. "I can take it to security lockup." "No," Hannah said. Eli flinched. She softened her voice. "Not because I do not trust you, because Mercer controls the security office." Eli looked ashamed, then angry at himself for feeling it. "Doctor," Lask turned to Hannah. "Who can receive it?" Hannah opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Mason's emergency contact had been stripped from the visible chart. His phone was cracked. His belongings were incomplete. The hospital network could not be trusted. She had evidence, but no outside hand to place it in. Ranger made a low sound. Hannah looked down. The dog was not looking at Mercer now. He was looking at the vest. It lay on the supply cart. Black nylon spread open under the fluorescent lights. Without it on Ranger's body, the vest looked less like gear and more like a wounded thing. Hannah stepped toward it. Mercer's head turned. "Do not touch that," he said. Hannah stopped. Ranger did not. The dog took one slow step toward the cart. Every person in the hall tensed. "Ranger," Hannah said. He paused, then looked back at her. Not disobedient, insistent. Hannah moved with him. One step, then another. Mercer's voice sharpened. "Security." "Doctor." Lask raised a hand. "Nobody moves." Ranger reached the cart and lowered his nose to the inside of the vest. He did not bite it. He did not drag it away. He touched one section with his muzzle, then backed up and looked at Hannah. Ruth whispered, "He is showing you something." Hannah picked up the vest carefully. She had already removed the micro SD card. She had already found the Apex transfer manifest, but Ranger's eyes were locked on the inner chest panel, where thick padding had been sewn under the original lining. Her fingers followed the seam. There was no card there. No document. Only a strip of medical tape pressed flat under the padding. She peeled it back. On the underside, written in black marker, were 3 words and 4 digits. "Tell Mercy, 7,000. The hallway fell away. Hannah heard rain on canvas. A helicopter lifting somewhere beyond a wall. A man calling for light. A dog barking once in the dark. Mercy 6. No one in stances. Bartholomew called her that. No one in this hospital knew that name. Not Ruth. Not Mercer. Not even the HR file Mercer had tried to weaponize. That name lived in a place Hannah had locked behind years of silence. A field surgical tent outside Kandahar. 12 years ago, joint trauma stabilization. Navy corpsman. Army medics, Marines, pilots, dogs, handlers, too many young faces under red lights, too many names written on tape because tags got lost, burned, or covered in blood. Mercy 6 had been Hannah's radio call sign for 6 months. Then, for one night too long, Ruth touched her sleeve. Hannah could not answer at first. Ranger stepped close. He pressed his head against her knee. Not as a patient. As a witness. Hannah looked down at him. Who taught you that Ranger's eyes stayed on her? Mercer's voice came from the far side of the hall. What is Mercy 6? Hannah folded the tape into her gloved palm. You tell me. I have no idea. Victor Hale was watching too carefully. Hannah saw it. He knew what it was not. Maybe not the meaning, but he knew it mattered. The 4 digits burned in her mind. A phone extension A tag. Last digits of an emergency contact. Mason had hidden a message in the vest. Not for Mercer. Not for Apex. For someone who could understand Ranger and move outside the hospital chain. For Hare, 12 years is a long time to run from a name. Hannah had left that field surgical tent with a silence she never broke, not to Ruth. Not to anyone who knew her now. The kind of silence that looks like recovery from the outside. But Mason Vale had known, and whoever sent him had known. The question now was whether the thing Hannah had spent 12 years trying to bury was finally worth fighting for. Hannah looked at Ranger. Mason knew me. Ranger gave one soft breath. Not yes. Not in any human way. But his body relaxed when she said the name. Mercer stepped forward. Hand me that tape. Ranger growled. Hannah did not move. Mercer stopped. His face hardened. You are suspended. You are interfering with an active security case. You are handling materials that do not belong to you. Hannah looked at the death order on the glass. Materials, she said. The word tasted bitter. A dog was an animal. A veteran was a liability. Evidence was material. A nurse was a problem. Mercer had turned every living thing into a category small enough to control. Hannah put the tape into the chain envelope with the card and manifest. Doctor, Lask watched her do it. Witnessed. Doctor, Lask said. Ruth added. Witnessed, Eli said. Witnessed. Mercer's jaw worked. The lead security guard took one step forward. Ranger's body shifted in front of Hannah. No bark. No lung. Just a wall of muscle and loyalty. Hannah placed her hand on his neck. Hold. Ranger held. Mercer looked at Doctor. Lask. You see the problem. The animal is now obstructing security. No. Doctor, Lask said, the animal is responding to perceived threat with restraint. Hannah almost looked at her. Restraint. That word mattered. Ranger could have bitten. He did not. He could have launched. He did not. He stood between threat and evidence because that was his task. Ruth leaned toward Eli. Can you call outside from your personal phone? Eli shook his head. No signal in the ER corridor. Dead zone. I have to go by the staff entrance. Mercer heard enough. Phones away. All of you. Ruth laughed once. It was sharp and humorless. You cannot order my phone away. Adrian. No. But I can order staff not to transmit confidential material. Then I will transmit my concern as a nurse. And I will report you for breach. Ruth's face tightened. Mercer knew exactly where to press. Hannah looked down at the tape through the clear envelope. Tell Mercy 6. She knew a number once. A liaison line. Not public. Not classified in the way people use that word on television. Just a contact path for military medical follow-up. Casualty transfer. And handlers who needed information fast. It had ended in 7,714. Her old phone had held it. Her old phone was in a drawer at home. Dead for years. But memory kept strange things, especially numbers tied to bad nights. Hannah closed her eyes for one beat. Then she opened them. "I need a landline," she said. Ruth looked at her. "For what?" "An outside call." Mercer's expression changed. "No." Hannah looked toward the staff break room. "Ruth?" "Old wall phones still work." Ruth hesitated. Mercer said, "Do not answer that." Ruth smiled without warmth. "Yes." The security team moved. Ranger moved faster. He did not attack them. He stepped into their path and gave one deep bark that stopped every foot in the hall. Patients cried out. A monitor alarm chimed in a nearby room. Hannah's hand stayed on his collar. "Ranger." "Hold." He held. But his eyes were no longer on the security team. They were on the double doors near the ambulance bay. Hannah followed his gaze. Victor Hale was gone. The hard case was gone too. A cold line ran down Hannah's spine. "Where is Hale?" she asked. Mercer did not answer. "Doctor." Lask turned. "Where did he go?" No one spoke. Then, from somewhere beyond the ambulance bay doors came the faint metallic slam of a service door. Ranger pulled once. Hard. Not toward the break room. Toward the bay. Hannah almost followed. Then Ranger stopped himself so suddenly, his collar jerked in her hand. He turned his head left. Not ambulance bay. Security office corridor. He looked back at Hannah, then left again. Hannah understood. Hale wanted her to chase him toward the bay, toward the place Mercer had already chosen. Away from cameras. Away from people. Away from the terminal. But Ranger was pointing somewhere else. The security office. Hannah said. Eli's face went white. Ruth asked, "What?" "Hale is not trying to leave with the dog." Hannah looked at Eli. "He is trying to erase something," Eli whispered. "The hallway footage," Mercer snapped. "That is enough. Too fast. Too loud. Confirmation." Hannah turned to Dr. Lask. If the footage showed Ranger attacking unprovoked, they would have played it already. Ruth's eyes hardened. "Move." Hannah did not wait. She went left. Ranger went with her. The security team shifted to block the corridor. But Dr. Lask stepped in front of them again. "If you lay hands on that dog after I told you no restraint, I will document it." Mercer looked like he wanted to tear the clipboard from her hands. Ruth followed Hannah. Eli followed Ruth. For 10 steps. The ER became a silent court. Everyone watched. A suspended nurse with no badge. A wounded K9 with no vest. An old charge nurse. A young guard. A county vet who had not planned to choose a side, but now had one. They reached the security office door at 4:49 a.m. 4 hours and 11 minutes. Eli pulled out his key card. His hand shook so badly he missed the reader the first time. "Breathe," Hannah said. He swallowed and tried again. The door unlocked. Inside. The room was small and too warm. 6 monitors showed grainy angles of the ER. Ambulance bay. Pharmacy corridor. And waiting room. A coffee cup sat beside a keyboard. One chair was pushed back. On the center screen, a warning box blinked. Archive deletion in progress. Camera error 4. Eli cursed under his breath. Ruth closed the door behind them. "Can you stop it? I do not know." "Tris," Hannah said. Eli dropped into the chair and grabbed the mouse. His fingers flew over the keyboard. Ranger stood beside Hannah, staring at the screen, not at the moving images. At one frozen thumbnail in the archive list, camera ER, in 4, 703 Gay Am. The ambulance bay. Mason's stretcher. Ranger beside him. Victor Hale, reaching for the vest. Ranger gave a low whine. Hannah leaned forward. "That one?" Eli clicked. The system froze. Then the video opened. No sound, just grainy black and white footage. The ambulance bay doors burst open. Paramedics entered with Mason. Ranger followed low and close. Security moved in. Hannah saw herself at the edge of the frame, smaller than she felt. Then Victor Hale appeared. He was not called in after the bite. He was already there, waiting near the bay doors before the ambulance arrived. Ruth whispered. He knew they were coming. On screen, Mason's hand lifted from the stretcher. He pointed weakly toward Ranger's vest. Hale moved fast. Too fast for a man who had just arrived by chance. He grabbed the left strap. Ranger snapped. On a beat. Quick. Controlled. Hale jerked back. Then Mason's mouth moved. No sound. But Hannah knew the shape now. Don't let them take it. Eli hit save. The system flashed red. Access. Denied. Admin lock. Mercer. Ruth said. Eli tried again. I can screen record with my phone. Hannah looked at the door. Footsteps in the hall. Mercer had followed. Do it, she said. Eli pulled his phone out and started recording the monitor. Ranger moved between Hannah and the door. The handle turned. Locked. A fist hit the door. Mercer's voice came through. Open this door now. Ruth raised her voice. We are reviewing security footage related to a dangerous animal claim. You are violating hospital policy. Hannah watched Eli's phone screen. The video kept playing. Hale grabbing the vest. Ranger warning. Mason pointing. Security grabbing the leash. Then the part the written report left out. Mercer entered the frame at 1:08 a.m. He did not look surprised. He did not ask who the dog was. He walked straight to Hale. Hale showed him his bleeding hand. Mercer looked once, then pointed toward the security office camera, not toward the wound, toward the camera. Ruth whispered. He knew. The door shook again. Ranger's growl rose. Hannah touched his neck. Hold. The dog's whole body trembled. Eli's phone kept recording. The footage showed Mercer speaking to the security guard. The guard gestured toward Ranger. Mercer shook his head and pointed toward Isolation 3. Then he took something from Hale. A small object. A memory card case. The decoy. Hannah felt the specimen envelope inside her pocket like a heartbeat. Ranger had given her the real one. On screen, Mercer slipped the decoy into his coat pocket. Then he looked directly at the camera. The video cut. The monitor went black. Eli's phone captured it. Barely, but enough. The archive list refreshed. Camera ER4 disappeared. For 1 second. No one spoke. Then Mercer's voice came through the door. Quiet now, Nurse Cole. You have no idea what you are interfering with. Hannah looked at Ranger. The dog was staring at the black screen. His amber eyes reflected the empty monitor. I think I do, she said. Ruth moved to the wall phone. Mercer hit the door again. Ruth. Ruth ignored him and lifted the receiver. Dead. She checked the cord. Cut. Not unplugged. Cut. Eli saw it. That phone worked yesterday. Hannah took a slow breath. Mercer had closed the network. Locked the archive. Cut the old phone. Moved security into place. Pushed for the dog to die before sunrise. This was no longer fear of liability. This was fear of exposure. Ranger suddenly turned away from the dead screen. He walked to the corner of the security office and sniffed hard at a lower cabinet. Once. Twice. Then he scratched at the metal door. Eli frowned. That is old equipment storage. Ranger scratched again. Hannah knelt beside him. Open it. Eli grabbed the small key from the drawer and unlocked the cabinet. Inside were routers, cords, broken radios, and a dusty emergency phone in a red plastic case. Ruth stared. You have got to be kidding me. Hannah lifted the phone. Battery light blinked green. Ranger stepped back and sat. For the first time all night, He looked satisfied. Hannah looked at the tape. Tell Mercy 6, 7,714. Her hand was steady when she dialed. The first 2 rings sounded like they were coming from another life. On the third, a man answered. Naval Regional Duty Desk. Hannah closed her eyes for half a second. Then she said the word she had not said in 12 years. This is Mercy 6. I have Ranger. Mason Vale is alive. And someone in this hospital is trying to kill the dog before the evidence gets out. There was silence on the line. Then the man's voice changed. Sharper. Awake. Mercy 6. Confirm your location. Hannah looked at Ranger. The dog watched her as if he had carried that call all night inside his bones. Stint, Bartholomew Regional Medical Center. She said, Norfolk Access Road, ER Security Office. Do not surrender the dog. The man said. Mercer's fist hit the door one more time. The frame cracked. Hannah looked at Ruth. Ruth moved in front of the evidence envelope. Eli stood by the monitor with his phone. Ranger rose between Hannah and the door. The voice on the line said, Help is moving. Who is attempting removal? Hannah looked at the door as it shook again. Doctor, Adrian Mercer, she said. And Apex MedShield. The man on the line breathed once. Then he said, Lock the door if you can. Keep Ranger with you. Captain Briggs is coming. Hannah didn't know it then. But Captain Briggs had been looking for Mason Vale for 6 straight days. And what was on that micro SD card was exactly the reason why. The security office door burst inward. Ranger barked once. Hannah dropped the phone but did not end the call. Mercer stood in the doorway with 2 security guards behind him. His face was no longer polished. It was bare now. Angry. Afraid? He looked at the phone on the floor. Then at Hannah. What did you do, Hannah? Put one hand on Ranger's collar and one hand over the evidence envelope Ruth had passed back to her. I followed the dog. She said. Ranger stood at her side, wounded and shaking, but still between Mercer and the truth. And somewhere beyond the hospital walls, for the first time that night, someone outside Mercer's reach knew Ranger was alive. For 1 second after the security office door burst inward, nobody moved. Mercer stood in the doorway with 2 hospital security guards behind him. His white coat was no longer smooth. His hair had come loose at one side. The polish was cracking, and the man underneath looked smaller and more dangerous. Ranger stood in front of Hannah, not lunging, not snapping, just planted. His wounded shoulder trembled. His ribs moved fast. But his eyes stayed on Mercer, with the terrible patience of a trained dog waiting for the next wrong move. The emergency phone lay on the floor near Hannah's shoe. The line was still open. A man's voice came faintly through the receiver. Mercy 6 confirmed status. Mercer looked down at the phone, then at Hannah. What did you tell them? Hannah did not answer him. She reached down slowly, keeping one hand on Ranger's collar, and picked up the receiver. Still here, she said. Mercer stepped into the room. End that call. Ranger's lips lifted. Hannah felt the warning through his collar before anyone else saw it. Ranger, she said. Hold. The dog held. The voice on the phone sharpened. Who was in the room? Hannah kept her eyes on Mercer. Doctor, Adrian Mercer. Hospital security. He is ordering me to end the call. Mercer's face hardened. You are disclosing protected hospital information. No, Hannah said. I am reporting interference with evidence involving a veteran and his K9. Ruth Bell stood beside the evidence envelope. Shoulders squared? Eli Grant held his phone so tightly his knuckles were white. Doctor. Lask pushed her way past the guards and into the room. Breathing hard. I told you no restraint, she said to Mercer. Mercer did not look at her. This nurse has compromised patient privacy, stolen property, and caused an uncontrolled animal to obstruct hospital operations. Ranger gave one low growl. The man on the phone said, "Do not surrender, Ranger. Do not surrender the evidence." Captain Briggs is en route. Mercer heard enough. He lunged for the receiver. Ranger moved. Not at Mercer's hand. Between Mercer and Hannah. Fast enough that both security guards flinched back. Hannah's grip tightened. Hold. Ranger stopped with his shoulder against Hannah's leg, blocking Mercer from reaching the phone. "Doctor." Lask's voice was clear. "Documented." The dog blocked approach without biting. Eli lifted his phone. "Recorded." Mercer turned on him. "Give me that." Eli stepped back. "No." "Sûr." The room changed around that single word. "No." It was small, almost shaking, but it was real. Mercer stared at the young guard like he had never considered that fear could fail. Ruth moved closer to Eli. "He is preserving a record. He is insubordinate." Mercer snapped. "He is a witness." Hannah said. Mercer pointed at her. "You are nothing in this hospital right now. You have no badge, no assignment, no authority." Hannah felt the words hit. No badge, no authority, nothing. The old wound opened quietly, the way old wounds did. Not with drama, with recognition. There had been nights overseas when she had held pressure on wounds until her hands cramped, only to be told later her name was not in the report. There had been rooms where men thanked the surgeon, the officer, the chaplain, anyone but the quiet corpsman who kept them alive long enough for help to arrive. And still she had stayed, because the work mattered even when the credit did not. Ranger pressed harder against her leg. He did not understand hospital hierarchy. He understood who had listened. Hannah looked down at him. "Then I guess I am just a person standing next to the truth," she said. Ruth's eyes shone. The voice on the phone said, "Mercy 6. Keep the line open if possible." Mercer took one breath, then another. When he spoke again, his voice was controlled. That was worse than yelling. "Officer Grant." Mercer said, "If you do not hand over that phone, I will have you terminated for recording restricted hospital footage." Eli's face went pale. His hand lowered half an inch. Ruth saw it. "Eli." He looked at her. Ranger turned his head, not toward Mercer, toward Eli's phone. Then the dog stepped away from Hannah for the first time and touched his nose to Eli's wrist. Eli froze. Ranger did not push. He did not paw. He simply touched the hand holding the only copy of the footage and looked up at him. Eli swallowed hard. Then he raised the phone again. "No," he said, stronger this time. "If you believe Ranger knew who was trying to protect him before anyone else did, write Ranger knew in the comments. Some dogs understand loyalty before people find the courage to say it out loud." Mercer's face flushed. "Doctor." Lask pointed to the monitor. "Play the footage again." "The archive is deleted," Eli said, "but I recorded the screen." "Then play your recording." Mercer moved. "Absolutely not." Ranger stepped back into his path. "Again." "Nobite." "Again." "No lung." "Just enough." "Doctor." Lask looked at the guards. "If either of you touches that dog with a pole right now, I will state in writing that you escalated a controlled animal into a defensive reaction." The guards looked at Mercer, then at Ranger. Neither moved. Eli tapped his phone screen with shaking fingers. The video began. The small phone speaker made no sound from the original footage, but it did not need sound. Everyone in the room watched the grainy image. Mason's stretcher came through the ambulance bay. Ranger followed. Victor Hale waited near the door before the ambulance arrived. Ruth whispered, "There." Hale moved toward the vest. Mason lifted one hand weakly. Hale grabbed the strap. Ranger snapped once. "Controlled. Direct." Hale jerked back. The video continued. Mercer entered. Not surprised. Not alarmed. He moved straight to Hale, then looked toward the camera. The room went silent as the grainy Mercer on the phone screen took the broken decoy case from Hale and slid it into his coat. Ruth looked up slowly. Eli lowered the phone. "Doctor." Lask turned to Mercer. "There is your unprovoked attack," she asked. Mercer's jaw clenched. "A partial recording without context. You deleted the full recording," Hannah said. "I secured hospital data. You cut the landline. I did no such thing." Ruth turned toward the wall. The cord was cut. Mercer did not even glance. That was his mistake. Innocent people looked. Guilty people already knew. Hannah saw Dr. Lask notice it too. Ranger suddenly moved toward the phone again. Eli's phone screen had gone dark after the video ended. Ranger nosed it, then looked at Hannah. "He wants the image," Hannah said. Eli blinked. "What the still?" "Pause where Mason points." Eli replayed the clip and paused. The frozen frame showed Mason's face turned toward Ranger. His mouth was open, caught mid-word. One hand pointed weakly toward the vest. Hale's hand was on the strap. Ranger's body was low, not attacking yet. Guarding. Ranger stared at the small image. Then he touched the screen gently with his nose, right over Mason. The sound that came from him was low and broken. The room softened. Even one of the security guards looked away. Hannah felt her throat tighten. "He knows him." "Doctor," Lask said. Ruth whispered. "Of course he knows him." But it was more than that. Ranger was not reacting to a random image. He was confirming the moment, confirming the person, confirming the task Mason had given him when Mason could no longer speak. "Don't let them take it." Mercer seemed to sense the emotional shift and hated it. "That is enough theater," he said. Hannah looked at him. "That is your problem." "Doctor." Mercer. "You think loyalty is theater because you cannot bill it. Own it. Or bury it." Ruth made a small sound that might have been approval. The emergency phone crackled. Another voice came on. "Alder. Harder. This is Captain Noah Briggs." "Who am I speaking to?" Hannah lifted the receiver. "Hannah Cole." A pause. Then Mercy 6. Her chest tightened. "I have not used that name in a long time." "I know." Briggs said. "Mason did." Hannah closed her eyes. "For one beat?" She was back under red light. Hands slick inside gloves. A handler screaming for a dog named Atlas. And a younger Mason Vale shoving a blood-soaked field card into her hand. She had not known his name then. Not clearly. Only his voice. Only the way he had said. Mercy 6. "Don't let them separate the dog from the handler." Hannah opened her eyes. "What was Mason transporting?" she asked. Mercer spoke at once. "Do not answer that." Briggs heard him. "Dr. Mercer. This call is being recorded through the duty desk." Mercer went still. Briggs continued. "Mason Vale contacted our office at 1142 last night. He reported that Apex MedShield had falsified transport incidents involving veterans under medical transfer. He was bringing physical and digital evidence to a neutral point because he believed local channels were compromised. Victor Hale was not in the room, but his shadow seemed to pass over it. Hannah's hand tightened around the receiver. He crashed before he got there. He did not describe it as a crash. Briggs said, "His last message said he was being followed." Ruth covered her mouth. Eli looked at the frozen image of Mason. "Doctor." Lask's face went hard. Briggs said, "Where is Mason now, ICU?" Hannah said, "Unconscious. Critical but stable. And Ranger, at my side." "Good." Ranger was trained to maintain control of evidence if Mason became incapacitated. "Do not allow Apex personnel near him." Mercer gave a short laugh. "Captain, with respect, you have no authority inside this hospital." Briggs did not raise his voice. Maybe not over your hospital, but I have authority to notify military legal, local law enforcement, veteran affairs, liaison, and the contracting office tied to Apex MedShield. All of them are now awake. For the first time all night, Mercer had no immediate answer. Hannah looked at the clock on the security office wall. 5:00 Lapin AM. 3 hours and 52 minutes. The deadline was still there, but now the night had witnesses outside the building. Mercer's eyes moved from Hannah to Ranger to the evidence envelope. He was calculating again. Hannah knew that look. A man like Mercer did not collapse when cornered. He chose the smallest remaining door and tried to shove everyone else through it. He stepped back. "Security," he said. "Escort Miss Cole out of the security office." "Dr. Lask said. "She is on an active call with outside authorities. She is a suspended employee trespassing in a restricted area." Ruth stepped forward. "Then I am responsible. I brought her." Mercer looked at Ruth. "Do you want to join her?" Ruth did not answer. The threat landed. 32 years of work. Retirement close enough to see. Health insurance. Mortgage. Grandchildren. Hannah saw all of it pass behind Ruth's eyes. "Ruth," Hannah said softly, "you do not have to." Ruth looked at her, then at Ranger, then at the paused image of Mason pointing. "Yes," Ruth said. "I do." Mercer's mouth tightened. But before he could speak, the radio on one guard's shoulder crackled. "Dr. Mercer, we have Mr. Hale at loading corridor C. He says the animal transfer team is ready." Hannah felt Ranger stiffen. The dog heard Hale's name. Mercer's eyes flicked toward the radio. There, the small door. He still had the removal team staged. He still planned to move Ranger before Briggs arrived. "Doctor," Lask heard it too. "I did not clear transfer." Mercer took the guard's radio. "Hold position." Then he looked at Hannah. "You have misunderstood what is happening here. Ranger is not being destroyed because of evidence. He is being removed because he is dangerous. He is standing in a room full of people who have threatened him." Hannah said, "And he has not bitten anyone. He bit Mr. Hale." After Hale grabbed the vest, he bit Officer Jensen. After Jensen grabbed the leash while Ranger was guarding Mason, Mercer leaned closer. "You are not a court." "No," Hannah said, "but I know the difference between a dangerous dog and a loyal one." Briggs spoke through the receiver. "Ms. Cole, how far is Ranger from ambulance bay access?" 2 corridors. "Keep him away from loading areas. If Apex removes him, the evidence chain may be lost." Mercer smiled faintly. "Evidence chain. The evidence chain is already broken. A suspended nurse handled it. A security guard recorded it on a personal phone. A county consultant watched a circus. Dr. Lask's voice went cold. "I watched your staff try to move a dog before examination." Ruth held up the signed envelope, and I watched the evidence sealed. Eli raised his phone. "And I watched you take the decoy case on video." Hannah looked at Mercer. "That is 4 witnesses." Mercer's smile faded. Then he did what authority abusers do when truth gathers too many names. He made it personal. "You all think she is brave," he said. Looking around the room, "You have no idea who you are following. Ask her why she left military medicine. Ask her why she panics around canine cases. Ask her how many people were lost the last time she decided she knew better than command." The words hit like a slap. Ruth turned on him. "Stop." Mercer did not. "This is not courage. This is guilt. She is using this dog to relive a failure." For a moment, the room blurred at the edges. Hannah saw red dust, white light, a dog's empty harness, a young handler screaming until his voice broke. She felt the old radio in her hand and the terrible silence after she called for evacuation that came too late. Her breath shortened. Ranger turned instantly. He stepped into her space, pressed his body against her knees, and pushed his head under her hand, grounding her, not the other way around. Hannah's fingers found the fur behind his ears. Warm, real, alive. She breathed once. Then again, Mercer watched, expecting collapse. He did not get it. Hannah lifted her eyes. "You read a file," she said. "You did not live the night." The room was silent. She continued, quieter. "And that is why you will never understand what Ranger did. He did not hold evidence because he was trained like a machine. He held it because Mason trusted him. Because loyalty does not need a committee. Because sometimes the last honest witness in the room has 4 legs and no voice." Ranger leaned against her. Briggs spoke through the line. Softer now. "Mercy 6. Captain Briggs is 10 minutes out with local law enforcement and a veteran affairs liaison." Mercer heard it. His eyes changed. 10 minutes. That was too soon for him and not soon enough for Hannah. Mercer turned to the guards. "Move now. Separate the dog from her." "Doctor." Lask stepped forward. "Do not." The guards hesitated. Mercer pointed at Hannah. "She is trespassing. Remove her." One guard reached for Hannah's arm. Ranger's growl filled the room. Hannah's hand tightened on his collar. Hauled. He held. Shaking. The guard froze. Eli said, "Sir, if we force this, he will react." Mercer snapped. "Then we will have proof." There it was. Plain. Ugly. Too clear to hide. Ruth stared at him. "You want him to bite." Mercer realized what he had said. Too late. Eli's phone was still recording. "Doctor," Lask whispered. "Documented." Hannah looked at the clock. Lima 18 am. 3 hours and 42 minutes until the paper deadline. Maybe 10 minutes until Briggs. Maybe less than 1 minute before Mercer forced Ranger into the reaction he needed. Hannah made a choice. She took the evidence envelope from Ruth and placed it in Dr. Cruz, Lask's hands. "County witness." Hannah said, "Outside hospital chain." "Doctor." Lask closed both hands around it. Mercer's face tightened. Then Hannah unclipped Ranger's empty vest from the cart and held it low. Ranger looked at it. Then at here. "We are not running," she whispered. "We are moving where they cannot corner you." Ranger's ears lifted. Hannah turned to Eli. "Which corridor has the most cameras?" "Main ER hall," he said. "Waiting room side?" "Then that is where we go." Ruth understood immediately. "Public space." "Witnesses," Hannah said. Mercer stepped into her path. "You are not taking that animal into the ER." Hannah looked him straight in the eye. "You called him dangerous in private," she said. "Let everyone see how dangerous he is when no one is trying to steal from him." Then she walked past him. Ranger walked beside her. No leash. No vest. No bite. Just a wounded K9 choosing the nurse everyone had been told not to trust. And as they entered the bright main ER hall, every patient, nurse, guard, and doctor turned to watch the dog who was supposed to die at 9 a.m. walk calmly at Hannah Cole's side. That was 5:01 a.m. 3 hours and 39 minutes until the paper deadline. Ranger was still alive. The evidence was sealed. Witnessed. In Dr. Lask's hands. Captain Briggs was 3 minutes out, and Mercer was running out of moves. But what happened when those doors opened? What was on that micro SD card? What Mason Vale had risked his life to protect? What Apex MedShield was willing to do when the walls finally closed in? That is, part 2. This story doesn't end in a hospital hallway. It ends in the light. If Ranger reached you tonight, if you felt something standing in that ER corridor at 3 in the morning, drop a comment below. Tell me where you're listening from. Some stories need to know how far they traveled. And if you want to be there when part 2 drops, subscribe. Hit the bell, because the next chapter starts where every night shift ends. When the sun comes up and the truth has nowhere left to hide.